Right, well, why don't you just start off by introducing yourself? Tell us who you are, your fight record, where you're from.
I'm Justin Cole, old manager. Used to call me Texas Tornado. 0-4 as a pro. I was 36-2 as an amateur. Uh, Out of Texas. I was born in Houston. Living there Longview now, but bounced around. All of Texas. Haven't fought in Texas as a pro. You don't get paid the greatest to fight at home unless you're selling boatloads of tickets.
Yeah.
Can't
What
do that in a small town. That's not a big name.
challenges have you faced having so many fights?
Well, man, as an amateur, it was a lot different. Started real young. 12 was when I first started competing. I went 28-0 all the way up to the elite division. Uh, that's when I switched where you fight with no headgear, and they switched from 1 minute rounds to 3 minute rounds. Those are like the guys that are normally having 100, 200 amateur fights, the guys that go to the Olympics and, whatnot like that. Got in a little trouble when I was about 16, so yeah, put things on halt. Started fighting again at 17 and went 10-2. Almost qualified for the Olympics in 2012, and ended up getting in a little trouble again. And then shortly after that, I had my daughter. I didn't fight for years until I made my pro debut in 2021, June or July of 2021.
Was
I
your
just
pro
fell in.
debut? Was your pro debut like kind of just something you decided you wanted to do? Were you back in amateurs and then you went pro?
No, man, I hadn't fought amateur since 2014 was the last time I had an amateur fight. So I don't know how they went about it, but I got in touch with some people. They knew from my amateur career they wanted to sign me. Wasn't the smartest decision in the long run because, as you see, my pro record is not what it should be being as an amateur. But they just kind of threw me in, you know, here and there with all the guys I fought have been national champions as amateurs. Will probably go on to be world champions. I wasn't training, man, and I fought in 4 different weight classes.
Tell me
I've
that.
traveled.
That's wild fighting in so many weight classes.
I fought as low as 126 and all the way up to 147. I made my pro debut at 147. I walked around at around 134, 135. I strapped, the ankle weights,
Yeah.
strapped them to my inner thighs, and drank a gallon of water. And I think I still only weighed in at I think it was like 139. You can see on BoxRec, man.
Yeah.
And the guy I was fighting he was 3-0. He normally fought at middleweight, dropped down to 147, barely made weight. Dude was a monster.
Seriously put yourself out there going from I used to fight amateur to going straight pro.
Yeah,
Got
man, I
you
should have. My
got you
dad.
involved in the street
Oh
beef?
man, I've watched Street Beefs for years and years since I was in high school, and I started following them on Facebook and everything like that. You know of HKA?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were my original sponsor. They made all my gear. Actually, kind of not necessarily helped set it up. Me commenting through Facebook is how they got in touch with them and got their, all the gear and sponsorship and all that.
That's their like number one sponsor right now. Trying to even get
Yeah,
them
man.
their MMA gloves.
Like I said, I didn't technically just set that up with the owner of both of them, but me commenting through Facebook, I'm always steadily putting their gear out there, and I kind of like pride myself in that a little bit.
That's
Nick's
definitely
always been good. Nick's always been good to me. Anytime I talk to anybody about gear, that's just the company to go to, man. They sent me my gloves and my trunks before my pro debut, and I've been sparring and using the same pair of gloves every day, and it's been going on, 2 years, and they look the same. They look brand new.
what like inspired you to go.
My dad was a pro boxer. My great uncle fought pro in the early 40s and 50s. He had like 70 something fights. My dad was 18-2 as a pro. He actually got his eye knocked out of the socket, busted his eye
Ooh.
cradle uh, when he was 26 or 27. So I was, just a few months old then. But that halted his career. But as early as I can remember, man, I had a pair of gloves on.
It's just in your blood.
Yeah, that's just how it was. My brothers, they both boxed as amateurs, but they can't stay out of prison, so they never they never even got a chance to fight pro.
Did
They
having a
both
kid kind of like give you a little extra drive?
man, really, that was the whole reason of me even coming back to fighting again. Just before I made my pro debut, literally about 3 weeks before that, was when I had even gotten contact with the people that got me licensed right away. We did all the medicals. My wife had right before then had a bad four-wheeler accident, uh, broke 4 vertebrae in her lower back, 3 in her neck, 3 spots in her pelvis. So man, I was running my own home construction company at the time, so I was making good money. So there was no option for Medicaid, so everything was coming out of pocket, and that was just a route I seen to help provide. So I signed with management for a year. It was 3 fights for a year. They got me my first fight, and then after that, man, they were supposed to help me put my name out there, everything like this and that, and it turned from one bad fight to another. I've been probably to 10 different shows all over the country, ranging from 122 all the way up to 154, and it's a lot of people think every fight you get signed, you just get to go up and show up and fight, but it don't always work out like that, man. In the long run,
Gotten a lot
you
of
end up
people
losing
missed out on you.
a lot more money than you make if you don't have the right people looking out for you.
Especially at the beginning of your professional career, you have like a big name behind you.
And that's it, man. That's it. I think, in all honesty, if I'd been smarter as far as in being in shape, that was my fault. That was nothing to do with them, my managers per se. But uh, man, I should have been trying harder. But juggling between full time work and having 2 kids at the time, now I have a third one on the way. It was it was a little hard at that point in my life to try to be fully committed to both things. And then in the long run, you, as my record shows, you pay for it, especially fighting guys at the level I was trying to fight guys at, with no sparring. Man, I had sparred maybe 2 or 3 times up until about 6 months ago throughout my whole pro career.
It's crazy.
Yeah, in these last 6 months, I spar 4 times a week. I go to New Orleans to spar. I go to Dallas, spar with guys at Fort Worth.
Definitely time for your redemption art.
Yeah, man, and the guy I got coming up fight on July 13th. He's another 0-4. So I'm sure he's looking to do the same as his redemption. He's an older guy though, and he's most all his guys he's fought 1-10, 0-7, and he's lost by KO. All my losses were 3 knockdown. I've never been put out. Even I fought Kane Sandoval in BoxRec shows. I got stopped in the first, but it was actually the second round. The same for Darius Jackson. I handed both of them their first knockdown as professionals.
Got some
You're
power
not going to
there.
see that. You're not going to see that out there, huh?
So you got some power.
I had 28 stoppages as an amateur. Yeah,
Boxing
man, I
is
fought.
wild to me as a mixed martial. I just you so many blows to the head, and you just have to like tell yourself to get up and go.
I had 23 or 24 concussions at 17, and like I said, I had never been knocked out. But I was
Shit.
sparring with my 2 losses as an amateur, both to world champions. Now one was to Terrell Spence when I think I was 14. I fought him in Arlington at a Golden Glove State Championship tournament, and I lost by decision. And then I fought Virgil. I think I was 16. Same thing. It was in Arlington. Uh, and that was actually my first tournament outside, so that was a lot different. And not even really knowing who he was then to where he is now, you can see. I knew he had a lot of amateur fights then, but it was one of those things. I was a cocky kid. I had quite a bit of fights. Like I said, I was 28-0 up until I switched into the elite division, which my dad didn't even he didn't even sign up for that back then. They were just finally starting to do all the signups online where you didn't sign up in person anymore. And my dad still to this day don't even really know how to use a computer. So I signed up myself, and then we showed up for the first tournament in Bryan College Station, and they were reading the rule set, and they said something about 3-minute rounds and no headgear. And my dad kind of looked at me, and I was like, "Yeah, I did that." So I heard about that for a while. As far as stepping up from different levels of competition as an amateur, the same as a pro. I fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. That's just the way I am. Try to get it back on a better track, and go from here.
Do you think the
Get
headgear
things.
is actually helpful?
To be honest, with cuts and as far as in heads colliding during sparring, because you got a lot of that, especially in southpaw versus orthodox or younger fighters. They like to just bull rush in each other, so heads collide a lot. But as far as an impact, no, man, I don't personally think it's. We spar with 16-ounce gloves. You're not able to hit as hard as often for as long with 16th versus when you fight with 8-ounce. But to me personally, I don't see how that helps you bring any advantage. You're still getting smacked
Yeah.
with a pound on each hand.
I
You
just
know
know
what I'm
there's some
saying?
studies that came out showing because of the weight of the headgear, when you get hit, it whips your neck hard and actually causes
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh
compressions.
yeah, yeah. You get whiplash, and I'm a lankier dude, so I've always, and I've had whiplash so many times. And like I said, I sparred with a lot of top competition, especially once I got up, 16, 17 as an amateur. My dad was driving me to Grand Prairie to spar with Virgil on an every other week basis. And this was in 2013, 2014. Before he had ever made his pro debut. But that was right after I'd lost to him in the amateurs. And it was just one of those things, like we clicked, and I would go up there and train and spar. And there was pros coming in there and sparring. I'd been sparring pros since I was 13, 14 years old, uh, out of Huntsville, Houston. And it's been a long road.
Definitely has. What do you think's allowed you to fight for so long? Allows boxers to fight for so long. As MMA fighters, we don't get 100 fights in. We get like 8 to 12 in during our amateur career. So we go might be lucky if we get 30, and that's a very
Well, personally, man, it depends on who the fighter is as well. But y'all take a lot. MMA fighters take a lot more concussive blows, I personally think, in a sense, as far as you are getting kicked in the head, knees, elbows. We may take 200-300 punches in a fight over a 12-round fight, but you're not seeing that in the amateurs. That's three-minute rounds at most. And if you just got a really good kid in their fight, he might land 100 punches in the whole fight. So as far as in that, in amateur MMA, I don't know what size gloves they use, but they don't wear headgear. You're still getting taken down. You're still getting beat on. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? So I just personally don't see how careers are. You get a longevity out of that as versus like you can in boxing. Uh, so my great uncle, he fought in the Navy. He had like 60 fights in the Navy before he turned pro. And had so many 40 or 50 fights as an amateur before he, ever turned pro. And I think he fought 77 times as a pro. I think his record was like 43 and 20 with like 8 draws. It was something crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He fought a lot of top competition back in the day, and they were fighting 15-round fights, and he wouldn't even be for a title. So back then, maybe. Uh, But but as now, no, I don't see boxers versus MMA taking any more damage.
See,
That's why we're able to have longer careers.
that definitely makes sense to me. Before, I was kind of seeing it as boxing is kind of like headhunting, where in MMA you have like the legs, you have the jujitsu. There's times where you're just not getting hit at all. But you're right, we're still getting kneed to the face, kick to the head. Those kicks are brutal.
This is your knees, your joints, just everything as a whole uh, gives out quicker versus boxing. I've seen a lot of guys that could have had really really good careers in MMA, but it was shut down because knee injuries after time and time again. Couldn't even make it through training camps because their knees just steadily blow out.
Maru Usman can't even do running on the treadmill because his knees are so bad.
Yeah, me, I personally, I don't run anymore. I swim. That's it. Yeah, my knees, see, they can't take it anymore. I'm 20, 27, be 28 this year, and I was running 3 to 5 miles a day. That's the time I was 9 years old, uh, all the way up steadily until I was 18, 19. Uh, of course, obviously, after I had kids, I totally stopped training for a long time, but just miles and miles of running. Uh, Not even doing any jujitsu or anything like y'all guys do, and that was enough for my knees to have problems.
That road work is horrible for your knees.
Yeah, man, that's what it was. Just miles and miles of running. Uh, a lot of people think a bike will help, but it doesn't. It doesn't too much.
Uh,
Swimming is the best way for full body endurance. For
yeah.
aerobics or whatever you want to call it.
Especially gonna help with your shoulder stamina too. Just
Yeah,
being able
that
to
that is
move
a
your
big
arms.
that's a big thing in boxing. I've seen some guys from MMA, come over into boxing, and that's as far as stamina and endurance. They have the stamina and endurance, but not the muscle endurance in their shoulders per se. Because you're just holding up your arms after eight 3-minute rounds, you're getting beat on trying to throw 20 to 60 punches around, and that's at a low point.
Can't
In
take them
lower weight
down to
classes.
rest.
Yeah, and you can't lean on each other too much because they're going to split you up. And it's just steady pace. So, and then you got guys that will just beat on your shoulders all day long until, later rounds. I got buddies that I spar with. We'll spar, 8, 10, 12 rounds. And for the first 3 or 4, if I've got my good defense on point, they're just going to beat on my shoulders till my shoulders get sore. That's just what they do.
Those like
A
arm
lot of people
shots are
don't see that.
weird. Because like the first few of them, you're like, why is this dude just punching me in the arm? This isn't doing anything. But after like the 10th one, you're like, holy shit. I need to figure out how to
Right
make
in the
this dude stop.
shoulder, right in the elbow. Yeah. Uh, and my dad was real big with framing with the arm. Uh, and you got somebody framing off of you and just rubbing the elbow, which y'all know, MMA fighters know about that.
Yep.
Just holding each other down and using the elbow to make the muscles sore. And it happens a lot in boxing. And you're getting hit, and then he's framing off you, rubbing that elbow and those muscles again. It works a toll on you, man.
I definitely have a lot of respect for boxers. You guys have to focus on one specific thing, so you have to be the masters of one thing.
Yeah, and it experience is the biggest thing with boxing, 'cause, and it just ring time. There are a lot of guys that have natural skill, and you see that, but for the most part, it's learned. It's in you. It's taught time and time and time again. It's drilled day in and day out. Uh, I'd probably sparred thousands and thousands of hours before I ever even made my amateur debut as a kid.
Why do you think that like elite MMA strikers are having trouble making the transition to boxing?
Like I was saying earlier, I think personally it's the endurance of, not per se as in the
Like,
endurance, because y'all fight 5-minute rounds. They're just not used to throwing their hands at that high of quantity. Uh,
that
but
definitely
as far,
makes
I mean,
sense.
stamina wise, y'all in some ways MMA fighters do have better stamina, better cardio, but it's a different game. You have time to lay, not necessarily lay on top of each other, but you can lean on each other for a second, take somebody down. You get time, you get break, lean on the cage, and all that
There,
stuff. In boxing, you're steadily on your feet, on
there are
your
definitely
bike, as they say.
there are definitely rest positions in MMA.
With bigger guys, in boxing, you see it more so where their referees let it go. They lean on each other a lot more. But in the lower weight classes, you don't see too many guys just sitting there leaning on each other for minutes at a time. It's that's not happening. They're pressing the match. If punches aren't being thrown, the referees are clapping behind you, telling you to get to work.
Think you'll ever get up there to fight like a Ryan Garcia or Tank Davis, or are you kind of just in here to get paid as much as you can to support your family?
And personally, that would be the goal, to get my record right, and then to get back up there in top, top competition, top quality. I believe personally, I am skilled enough, but with how I've handled my beginning career, that option may not be there. Before you get out of my prime. I got a long road ahead before I could ever, fight at anything, that
Of
top
course.
quality.
Right now, though, you're in your prime athletic age, right? Right at 27. Got probably a good 10 years of your career left. I think you got plenty of
Yeah,
time.
easy, of course. And that's the like I said, that's the goal in the end. Especially while I can still compete, because I don't want to be trying to compete at that top level when I'm falling off. Because it ends bad. It ends bad for you guys. It really does. And I want to be there up in age for my kids and grandkids. I've got two little girls and probably another one on the way. My wife's 28 weeks pregnant. We've still been waiting this whole time to find out, uh, what the baby is. Just been putting it off to maybe even find out at birth this time, just to see. Been a little bit more.
Have a nice little
We're getting a little
surprise.
older. Yeah, this is probably our last kid, so trying to do things a little different.
Besides of course, like motivation to support your family, do you think there's any part of you that's boxing so you can like leave a legacy for your kids?
Um, Personally, uh, I would like for my children too, but at the same time, I have girls, so yeah, I don't want to see my pretty little girl getting beat up in there all day, every day. But that's something a father always wants. And I think my dad wanted that for me as well. He he was 18-2 and up until he stopped fighting. But personally, he probably could have went a lot further in his career. My dad was one of those guys that had just natural talent. I have to work it day in and day out, to get where I was as an amateur. And not really anywhere in a good standpoint as a pro, but I will be. And that's through hard work. That's not through just natural gifted talent.
Are you still training with your family, or are you going to different gyms?
No, I go to different gyms. I do train with my dad on occasion. Uh, my dad lives several hours away now, and he's older. Uh, so it honestly it takes a toll on him just to even get out and do pad work with me for 30, 45 minutes. He's
Yeah.
got to go sit down. Got arthritis in both his knees. He's got a preset Parkinson's, and he's only 52. Body tremors, shakes real bad. Yeah, that's another thing that doesn't get talked about a lot in boxing is CTE. You look it up online, it says 40% of fighters. I just don't believe that. My dad was never knocked out, and he has obvious signs.
It's the biggest thing of boxing is it's not the big blows that cause the head trauma. It's the hundreds and hundreds of small blows.
Yeah, just the repetition. Minor can you can get a concussion, never be knocked out. That's what doctors will tell you. It's minor concussions.
And then you don't know about them. You keep fighting. You get a double concussion on top of that.
Yep, yep. And you're sparring and sparring and sparring on top of that. It's each time you get a concussion, it's essentially bruising on the brain, and then it creates a lesion, and then the lesion creates scarring. That's just how I've been explained it.
Have you noticed any negative impacts, psychologically or mentally from boxing yet?
When I'm sparring all the time, headaches. Headaches, man. My mom was diagnosed schizophrenic when she was in her early 20s, manic depressive, manic bipolar. So, that was just a preset thing. I haven't been diagnosed with anything, but I do feel like I have mood swings, mood problems when it comes to headaches and things like that through time and time and time of fighting. Like I said, that's one thing I've always been mindful about, especially with my dad and then my great uncle. He died from Parkinson's. He was 82. That was in the early 2000s. And, nobody ever talked about it, but that's 100% what it was from.
With the work Elon Musk is doing with Neuralink, it's going to be far off for the everyday person to be able to have access to, but it is a good look in the medical community that we're going to be able to reverse some of these neurological issues.
I think that should be a forefront in combat sports and football players, because even football players, it's more prominent than even boxers. They say 90% of all NFL players have CTE.
They're getting hit by car crashes every single day. It's
Oh yeah,
crazy.
man. I played football up until my senior year of high school. I started varsity all 4 years. It was a 1A school, smaller school. But yeah, man, I know all about it. Having 300-pound guys, even in high school, just crashing down on you every day. It's not a fun way to end it.
It's not.
I think that's why I think boxing was always a better option for me than team sports. At the end of the day, it's about who's the better man between me and you, and that's it.
That's kind of what drew me
I
to
only have to worry
martial
about my.
arts.
Huh?
I said that was kind of what drew me to martial arts and away from football. And I also played baseball a little bit, but I was kind of shit at it.
Oh man, I played select baseball. I had scholarships to basically every Division I college in the country, and I blew out my arm my junior year. And then right after that's when I got in trouble, and it was just a long road between sports. I was dedicating a lot of time to baseball, dedicating a lot of time to boxing. It was,
So you were pretty much an athlete growing up your entire life.
oh yeah, man. I started playing baseball at 5 years old. I think my grandma has like 21 different teams jerseys. Like I said, I played 8 years of select ball. We traveled the country. I played in the League World Series in 2011. I think is when we went. I think I was 15. And I've been playing sports, dealing with boxing basically my whole life, everything.
Several days later.
All right. I just
Whenever you
wanted to bring you back on and ask, do you have anything coming up? I know you said you had a fight coming up. When and where is that?
July 13th in Fort Worth.
What have you been doing to prepare that fight, versus someone else?
Well, man, before as a pro, like I said, wasn't taking the best steps as far as training. But the last, I'd say 4 months, just about 6 days a week, I'm split up between a gym here in Longview Mac Attack Boxing, and then there's a gym in Tyler, Boom Boxing. I go between them two, and every 2 weeks I drive out to Shreveport or New Orleans and spar some pros out there. That's where actually my opponent's from, is New Orleans. New Orleans. Yeah, that's where my opponent is from. This will be my first time fighting in Texas as a pro. So it's a good homecoming.
Where's your corner coming from?
Longview, that's where I'm staying now. Luther McAfee, coach, in Longview Mac Tech Boxing. He's been an amateur fighter for probably 40 years. He never turned pro, but the dude has a lot of knowledge, does a lot of good work with kids, youth. He has several good pros underneath him, a couple national amateur champions. So it's a pretty good gym.
Definitely sounds like you got a good home. Do you have any plans
Yeah,
after that fight, or are you just looking for that one right now and then you'll We'll just go with whatever comes next.
Actually, I can't say too much till after this. I'm on 4 right now, so my next step is getting this win. But after that, hoping to get on a Golden Boy show, possibly for October. Like I said, that depends on this one. We're looking at an 8-round fight for probably the best person in my career against what I think is a beatable, undefeated opponent. That's all I've ever faced as a pro is undefeated guys. It's not nothing new to me. Um, but yeah, this guy, I'm in shape now. Finally, as a pro, which I never have been. So I think that'll be my next step after this win. Finally, getting my name out there a little more. Yeah, hopefully that'll put me at 2-4, and we can start getting on the right track.
Iron definitely sharpens iron. I'm really rooting for you through this. Do you have any struggles to shout out?
Just my sponsors, Nick Sampson with HK USA. Has been here with me since starting my pro career. Top notch dude, top notch gear. And then my other sponsor, it's been career long, Vice City Vapes, out of here, out of Longview, German, Montana. The owner, he's a really good dude. Got really good CBD products, all vape products across the board. Coach Luther McAfee, Longview Back Tech Boxing, uh, Boom Boxing, and Tyler. Those guys give me a lot of good work over there.
Definitely hoping to hear you, to watch you on ESPN coming up. Keep that good work up. And your amateur record is extremely impressive. And just like
Yeah,
you
man,
said, getting on the
36
right
2.
track, and got another Tyson Fury coming up.
Yes, sir. That's what we're hoping.
All right, I appreciate you coming back to talking with me to wrap this up. You have a great day.
I appreciate it, man. You have a good afternoon as well. I appreciate you having me.